So how do you make 1 crore from the stock market? I've seen this on social media, people claiming on how you can get there, people showing screenshots and whatnot, but I have no clue how this actually happens. So I reached out to an expert. The second most important person on Twitter after Elon Musk, Sardaro ko Sardar, Abid Hasan.
My God, dude. Hi, it's so nice to be here. So I'm trying a new, Bond villain-like look where I'm sitting on a lap with this cat type thing. So this is my new avatar. This is my minion or sidekick, Tuffy. Great to be here.
So how does this 1 crore happen? Give me at least one way to get there.
See, there's a very simple trick to make 1 crore easily from stock markets. It takes less than 2 weeks, and it is primarily accomplished through futures, options, and other derivatives. The idea is very simple. You start with a capital of roughly anywhere between 1.5 to 2 crores. Follow a number of Twitter handles which are doing some amazing work in this field. If you do every instruction which you do over a period of around 2 to 3 weeks in this way,
with full discipline.
Very disciplined. So in that period, your 1.5 to 2 crore account will become like a 1 crore account. This is one way that I guaranteed know of.
It's interesting. I think another way that we could explore is just downloading Photoshop.
Oh yeah, that I noticed that also. In fact, Adobe CEO had called me. He kind of got very drunk and he was very pissed and he just ranted for an hour about, dude, what have you done to my business in India? Please don't do this verified screenshot and all. So I mean, I understand and sympathize, but we're just stuck here now.
Okay, dude. But on a more serious note, how do you actually get there? I think I'll give the boring answer. So I think there's one thing that people talk a lot. One is the 15, 15, 15, which basically is 15,000 for 15 years. Is it 15 years? Yeah, and 15% CAGR is what you need. The problem, and you'll reach 1 crore. The problem with this is though that generally 15% nahi expect karna chahiye. Like an index fund will actually do like 12 or 13%. So I think it'll take a little more than that. But I think 15, 15, 15 sounded very catchy, so that's why they hung on to this. The other way is just start with like 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, right? And you get to 1 crore. I think a good rule of thumb is every 6.5 years paisa double hoega. On an index fund, in assuming Nifty grows, assuming it's not like Japan, where it never happened, right? So assuming all those things being equal, at least a benchmark over here is not 2 weeks. It's
I know one very guaranteed way to make 1 crore, right? I mean, see, this is through selling, right? Selling is the guaranteed way of making 1 crore. Not option selling, webinar selling.
But I think there you have to sell a lot of greed, right? Ki, hey, you are going to buy XYZ in your life, so therefore take this webinar.
That's the fun part, right? There's a dude who has an office right next to my office somewhere in Bangalore. Now I won't say where my office is in Bangalore because a lot of furus are after me. Like यहाँ पे बहुत डर का माहौल है, right? But so basically the thing is that this dude had rented me that office, right? And we have a small rented office in JP Nagar, and he was planning to join some guy's webinar or Bank Nifty program, right? It's like 3,000 rupees every day, guaranteed you will get from one lot of Bank Nifty is the pitch.
They say guaranteed. 100%
guaranteed. Blatant violation of SEBI rules, right? I think my guest is a little annoyed, so I'm going to leave him. So
sure.
So basically, every day 3,000 rupees guaranteed from Bank Nifty. And my friend who owns this building which I've rented, he was saying, "Yaar, I'm going to go join this course." So I asked him why. So he's like, "Boss, he's a very successful trader." I'm like, "How do you know?" He's like, so I'm not going to name the exact car, right? But he has this XYZ car, right? And that XYZ car price is close to 80-90 lakhs. He's like, "Boss, he must be printing money. How else can he buy that car?" I'm like, "How much is this for?" He's like, 80,000 rupees for 3 months. And अच्छा, तेरे जैसे 100 लोग मिल गए तो आ गए ना वो car. Then he's like, "Yeah, that is true." So are you saying? I'm like, I'm not saying anything. You decide what you want to do, right?
Did he end up joining?
Sorry, he did not. He did not join, right? But
Thank God.
co-selling is a guaranteed way of making money. I mean, there is a very hard way to make 1 crore, which you and I are doing, which is running a company. But we don't talk
Yeah.
about it.
Dude, founder ko nahi banta. I'm just making it clear. Founder does not make anything, okay, guys? If you're running a company, founder doesn't make anything, okay?
Yeah, yeah. In 5 years, maybe if you're lucky, you might see 1 crore in your current account. But yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think the problem, and you said this also before, the problem is selling greed, right? Because then you're not selling a course or you're not selling a workshop. You're suddenly selling hope and greed. And I think that is wrong, right? So especially within financial markets, right? The moment you say you guarantee something, the risk of ruin, which is the worst kind of risk, by the way, the risk of ruin can eliminate 10 years of your life, 5 years of your life, especially if you're young, your confidence goes down. Your risk of ruin goes up. Your confidence goes down, your social standing, which matters a lot when you're young, goes down, and you lose everything, right? So I think at that point, this is the worst kind of risk, that if you're selling greed, that person puts everything he has, risk of ruin increases, which is why I love the way Sensibull and maybe even LearnApp does it, right? Like, we can reduce your risk by telling you how risk management works. Because if you're going to do it anyway, at least do it the proper way, do it the mathematical way, do it the safe way. Take time to understand, right? And 2 weeks, are you kidding me? Like, I don't think you'll be able to even achieve something decent in 1 year. Because at the end of the day, it's not a system, it's not a strategy. At the end of the day, you cannot do something consistently in a disciplined way for a long period of time. If you are that kind of person, then you should spend time learning this. Most people aren't. Most people aren't.
Most
Right?
people are disciplined. Yeah,
That's right.
like even if you look at 11th standard, 12th standard, nobody takes like a 2 year disciplined approach to JEE. सबको एक week का crash course करना है और JEE जैसे कैसे होगा यार?
100 nahi hoga. I think like any other skill, you'll have to put years into it and you have to accept this. This is a fact, right? You have to put years into it. Can you make money? Of course, provided. And one more ways, you start with 2 crore and then you do something stupid and you are left with 1 crore. So I think that's the third way. You can actually have 1 CR in your account by starting with a higher number.
So Prateek, before we even go to the 8 crore कैसे बनाते हैं 1 crore, how do you make 1 crore, right? What you have to understand is who are the people who fall for this 1 crore, right? So I had this very funny incident. I don't think I talk about it often because 2 years back, right? One of my friends had devised some kind of an algo to make reasonable return from Bank Nifty using some 30% CAGR types per year, and he had backtested it and all that. And I was just mentioning this to Nitin one day, ki boss, we have found this seems very robust and all that, but it's just that it is not for normal people, it is for people with some kind of wealth, right? So they need to have some kind of capital. And I was saying, why don't we just market it to this thing and like for that friend, right? Not for me, not for Sensibull, because we don't do algo trading and all that. So I was saying, why don't we just market it as a wealth management strategy? So his response was, देखो भैया, गलत मत समझना. Rich people are rich because they don't listen to people like you and your friend. because rich people don't do all this, right? They just wake up in the morning and they think about how to grow their business. The truth of life, right?
Yeah.
Very rich people, right? You think Ambani, Adani, Tatas, etc. Do they even take like one lot of Bank Nifty? If somebody goes to say and say, boss, मेरे पास एक strategy है 20% Bank Nifty.
He'll be like, कौन हो तुम?
Ambani is like, बेटा देखो exchange को खरीदना है बोल देना मैं कर लूँगा लेकिन ये सब like, right? But this is not how it works, right? So rich people are immune to all this, right? Now, people who don't have money, they are very aspirational, right? People who are really desperate, right? So I have this personal notion, right? The level to which you believe in a scam is proportional to how desperate you are to get things at the other end of it, right? So for example, people who are in a very bad disease, like, or people who have socially unacceptable condition, like for example, in our society, incorrectly, your skin color is a problem, how lean or fat you are is a problem, your height is a problem, all of this is a problem, right? Whereas people shouldn't care about it, because if you did not choose something, there's no reason why you should have a problem with it, right? Like, I should not be having a problem with am I 5'9" or 6'4" or 5'1", because it's not something I chose, and it's sad that people blame. So, but then if you go to these people who are having a problem and who desperately want to get out of it, they'll pay you anything for any kind of hope, like any random medicine. अरे ये pill swallow कर लो तुम्हारा 3 inch और high to ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. This kind of stuff happens, right? Similarly, people who are chronically single, people who are really desperate, all these young college boys and all who have never, had a girlfriend in life. If somebody in social media makes like a, good-looking fake picture and approaches them, they'll believe it, right? This catfishing problem. Why? Because they're really, really desperate. So desperation is a problem, right? Most of these scammers appeal to people who really badly need money. They'll believe just about anything to think that यार मेरा life इसके वजह से बदल जाएगा. Central problem is before we even think of how to make 1 crore, we have to identify the source of this which make 1 crore. They are not designed for people who are trying to grow their money or wealth or something. This is targeting people who are really, really badly want their lives to become better. And this is where I think this is a criminal thing, right? Because you're taking the people who are most vulnerable to falling prey to scams because they don't have money, and then, kind of abusing their state of emotional vulnerability, because most people are poor, they don't want to admit it, they are feeling shameful about it, and they desperately want to get out. So yeah, that's the problem. That is my problem.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, right, this is not new at all. We're just seeing in stock market more because I guess we're from that industry and we've seen it for like decades now. At least we've seen stock market closely for decades now. So we see it. How can people even believe this? But if you think about it, social status between 20 and 35 is the highest, right? So the things you said, right? Ki height chahiye, girlfriend chahiye, dikh raha kaisa hu, mere paas gaadi hai. All these things, material wealth, super really, really matter, because that's how you know and differentiate the best who made it in life versus who did not. Also super vulnerable time because these guys don't really have any real skill yet. They're still building their career. They're still figuring out how to run a business, work in a business, move up the ladder, etc. Right? So the only thing they can do is like, dude, if I have to spend 10 years in corporate / running a business to get there, what can I do faster to signal people around me that, hey, I'm actually doing well? So I don't know what the way out of this is. I think the way out of it is just don't be desperate. Even think about multi-level marketing, right? They pick kids in college for MLM scams, not the good MLMs, like the MLM scams, right? This is all the same thing, right? The vulnerable want a shortcut to reach somewhere. And I'm sure we could do the same conversation for the fitness industry, beauty industry, many other industries. We just also see it in the the stock market industry.
Anything, right? Even diets, all these crash diets, lose 5 kilos urgently. Kya hoga? See, the thing is this, right? So this is what I personally believe, right? Anything you got without much mehnat, anything you got through a shortcut, it's unlikely that it will stay with you, right? Like if you suddenly lost 5 kilos with a crash diet, it's not sustainable, you'll gain it back. If you suddenly got rich, you haven't done anything to earn that riches, right? You don't know how to make that money. So it's unlikely that you will know how to do with that money, and you're likely to lose it all. Like, so the fundamental problem is, if you like, what is really fun about, most of the rich people that I know say this thing, right? The best part about becoming rich is becoming the person who knows how to become rich, right? It's not about the money itself. It's about what makes you the person who can become rich. But if you're doing it through legit sources, right? Not against, snake oil selling is also a way to get rich, but that person is not what you want to become, right? But people don't follow the process. They're only looking at, 1 crore, 21 din mein paisa double, this, ye, wo, blah, blah, blah. This is, So I think this 1 crore mental number, all that barrier needs to be taken out.
I have an interesting fact over here. We were talking about this before the show. AMFI, which basically looks after mutual funds, right? It's the association. And they said the average DMAT holding period is less than 24 months. कैसे होगा यार? कहाँ से retail wealth कैसे बनेगा? Because वो mindset ही नहीं है. Same thing you were saying, right, Abid? वो mindset ही नहीं है. Retail wealth, 24 months is nothing, dude. 24 months is, dude.
So I'll give you an interesting question, right? So I used to work in a US-based ETF investing platform before starting Sensibull, right? Do you know who the most successful investors in USA are? Dead people. So in the sense that people have a demat account, they forget about it, they have stocks in that, then eventually they die. Account becomes dormant, but the stocks remain there, and some 10, 15, 20 years later, some compliance guy will wake up and send a notice to nominee saying, देखो, आपके पिताजी के पास इतना stock था, अब देख लो क्या है. And then suddenly this person becomes an overnight millionaire because the stocks were held for 20, 25 years. I'll tell you another story. I had a friend and her father-in-law passed away in 2015 or 16, and they were cleaning up the house, and there was this baksa which they keep under the bed, right? Many people have this back in the days, and they opened that and they got some shares of, I think, Tata Steel, right? And she picked, I mean, I'm like the go-to stock market dude for her. She took pictures of that shares and she sent it to me and says, hey, can you just see how much it is worth? So I think it was early 90s or something, mein kharida hua Tata Steel. And the number was coming roughly 4-5 CR, okay, in 2016-17. I hope she didn't cash out then. I hope they still kept it because now it was worth almost 9-10 CR. But her, kids Dadaji had the foresight to buy Tata Steel in early 90s or something. And think about it, right? It caught the liberalization, it caught the great boom, it caught so many dividend splits, ye, wo, falana tikana. And now their kids have wealth enough to have like 3 very posh apartments in Bombay. So it's money enough to have like a really nice thing, right? You can buy like a Worli sea-facing apartment and still have change left to buy a Benz, right? So I mean, and why? Because nobody touched that stock, right? और ये सोचो कोई बंदा गलती से आयशा
dude, same thing.
I guess it's too boring and unsexy to do, dude. I think that basically, if it's unsexy, if it's boring, but it's timeless, maybe you should have a look at it because there may be some logic to it.
At least the way I look at it, right, dude, I don't invest for myself, right? I invest so that probably my 18-year-old douchebag son or daughter will buy a silver-colored Mercedes and say, "Arey, my dad loved me," right? No, real, right? Like, see, I'm not investing in Nifty ETF for myself. I know that I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to keep it with me. I'm going to keep it forever. I'm going to put the same amount. And here's the thing, right? Funny thing. Many people think that I was an ex-trader and I timed the market, which is kind of true because, I like even if I'm entirely in touch with market, like I know कि यार पता चल रहा है, right? I mean, even if you look at our daily market show and all, we have been in an unbelievable winning streak. And I also replicate some of my trade for fun in my portfolio. Sometimes my wife asks me tips and I ask her to do some nifty tips and all. And it takes a lot of courage to make your wife take an option trade, right? So all of these things go wrong. Go right. But I don't really want to do that with investment, right? Both of us put the same amount of Nifty ETF every month without looking at anything. कि बस ETF करेंगे और कुछ नहीं करेंगे. Because
dude, I just did a video on why you shouldn't do a sip. You should check that out. But okay, fine. Keep going.
Okay, so basically our strategy is that okay, this is not for us. This is eventually, sometimes your grandchildren or somebody will say कि दादाजी अच्छे आदमी थे. That is our only aim, right? So I mean, if you really love your family, kids, your future generations, etc., invest for their future, right? Don't do this 1 crore I'll make and buy a BMW.
Yeah, I completely agree. The बहुत interesting है. So see, if you look at Zomato, see, nothing against these companies. I think they've actually changed the economy and stuff like that. But from a valuation investing perspective, right? If you look at, say, Zomato and Paytm and all these people, dude, 84-85% ownership is by the public. Now, that is actually not a good thing. Yeah. 84-85% ownership.
So at least we now know why the stock went down.
That is...
Correct. Now, if you check last quarter, that number has now become like 30% or something after the stock went down, correct? What's interesting, the boring, unsexy, good companies, this is not a tip, right? What I'm going to say now, but it's just interesting. Hindustan Unilever, TCS, Dabur, Bajaj Finserv, any of these good considered companies, right, which have been running for decades, HDFC, exactly. These companies, वहाँ पे 12-13% भी नहीं होता retail ownership. Can you believe that? Look at how long the company's been. Look at their ROAs. Look at how good the businesses are. And they've been valued by multiple investors around the world, right? So, of course, if there's a scam happening, no one can know. But the business is fundamentally good. Retail ownership is 12%. And their thinking is कि stock already बहुत ऊपर चला गया. मैं तो कुछ ना 100 रुपए का stock खरीदूंगा, which frankly makes
oh my God, that is so
no
sad.
sense.
That is so sad. And even otherwise, right? You can look at it this way. In times of trouble, when waters are difficult to navigate, which ship do you think will survive? The really big ship or a smaller ship? Like I would want to get inside the big ship. So instead of, rather than betting on Yes Bank or RBL or something, I would put my money in ICICI, HDFC, etc. Right? Because I'm investing. I'm not trying to get rich. There's a difference between managing your wealth and trying to get rich. Trying to get rich necessarily involves taking this very risky bets, right? But if you're trying to preserve your wealth and grow it meaningfully, I think I'll hop on board a big ship any given day. And the biggest ship of them all is Nifty ETF, for sure. No single stocks. I still don't have any single stocks in my portfolio.
100%.
So in summary, we started this by asking कि यार 1 crore कैसे कमाना है? The answer is plain and simple, short term में तो नहीं बनेगा. There is no trading, investing, HFT, LFT, MFT, कुछ भी कर लो, short term में नहीं बनेगा. And if someone has made it, good for him, right? Or her. Maybe those are institutions which they have access to technology, etc. You probably don't have. In the end, the plain vanilla ingredient is index, a diversified large cap portfolio, lots of time and patience. And like Abid said, if you're dead, if you hold it for so long and you think I'm doing this for the next generation, perfect. That's it, man. So basically, if you want to take the long route where you don't have to do all these shortcuts, you should subscribe to this channel and, maybe me and Abid can do more stuff. You should also tell us in comments what we should talk about next because there's a lot of shit happening in this world. And I guess we don't care about talking about it and calling people out. It's just fun. I think it's interesting and, maybe we'll learn something from it. What do you think, Abid?
Yeah. All for it. Anything, because one of the things about running a trading platform is that you're also aware that you have to care for your users in the long run, right? So anything that helps them not lose money, preserve their capital, learn something new, we are all in for it.
No, love it. Thanks, Abid. See you soon, bro.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.